we've seen the photos of ballots, which are the length of a kitchen table, Gary, a tactic used to protest the first phase of the post system, the first past the post system. Now, a parliamentary committee says enough is enough. They're calling for rule changes, but does this protect the process or stifle dissent?
Well, we've had a discussion about this before, but now a parliamentary committee has taken the bull by the horns, and not a moment too soon, Eddie. When you think about it and go back to last year's federal election, where we had a ballot in the riding that Pierre Poilievre had served in 20 plus years, and lost. And sure, the length of the ballot may have played into it to a certain degree, but I think, there were other things, as we both know, at play there as well. But certainly, when you have this kind of a protest, as they call it, it really does leave a lot to be desired. It really, really does.
What did the poor voters in Carleton have? Almost 219, 220 names to go through? Something ridiculous like that?
It was like, well, there's the ballot in the picture. It's about 6 feet, almost 7 feet long. Yeah. Ridiculous. So the recommendations from the Parliamentary Committee for qualification changes, and this is one way that they're hoping to cut into the foolishness. Reinstatement of a monetary deposit. Definitely, to me, democracy is a privilege, and if you're going to offer your name, you do so in a serious manner. It's a serious step you're taking, and if you're really convinced that this is something you want to do, you should be prepared to at least put a deposit down. And if you violate any election rules, or maybe even we set a minimum percentage, anything above that, you get your deposit back, or a portion of your deposit back. Anything below, you either lose the deposit or a portion of the deposit, I think would be a fair way of doing it, personally. And I think it would make a lot of people stop and think before they put their names forward. Now, it was struck down by the courts actually back in 2017, the deposit for candidates. But really, if you want to ensure that candidates are serious about offering, then you put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
So I think that somehow they should work that into the election laws of the country. And, if you're looking at federal, like, if you have people who are willing to sign your nomination papers, they are probably willing to help you out in some way. So, $1,000 deposit. It sounds like a lot, but if you're garnering support, you get $20 here, $50 there.
You'll get the money easily.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for it to add up. The other thing is increased signature threshold, and that's it's designed to significantly increase the number of signatures required on nomination papers. Currently, most ridings require 100 signatures, and the committee discussed raising this or requiring more rigorous verification of these signatures, because they could be coming from anywhere. It could be the same person signing twice, and some people would be foolish enough to sign one name and then sign a different name, but still in the same handwriting. So I think that the increased signature threshold combined with more rigorous verification should be the norm there.
Mm-hmm.
Then witness requirements. And the witness requirements, strengthening the rules for those who witness the collection of signatures, including potential penalties for obtaining signatures before a candidate has been officially identified. And that, I guess, has been going on with some of these protesters, that they haven't even announced that they were going to be running. Just the name was there, and they go out and start gathering signatures for this person, and you know, it's a name. That's all, just a name.
Right.
There's really no one behind it at that stage saying that, yes, you know what, I've decided I want to throw my hat in and run for office. So again, it's too loose. And then the official agent constraints. In the official agents, limiting the number of candidates a single official agent can represent to ensure financial transparency and administrative accountability. There should be, I totally agree, one official agent per candidate, and that individual is focused strictly on that candidate.
Right.
If you have an official agent handling half a dozen different candidates, how serious are they? Any of them, when you get right down to it. So, and the other one I skipped over, nomination paper limits. Implementing a limit on the number of nomination papers a single elector can sign, preventing groups from using the same pool of supporters to nominate dozens of protest candidates. And that's what led to that picture next to the recommendations, that 7-foot ballot, because they had a group, the protest group, and they just blindly signed nomination papers. It's like a nomination signing farm kind of thing. That's wrong.
Well, yeah. You know what I'd also like to see on top of this, Gary, is some sort of accountability. There's got to be some single entity that's orchestrating this entire activity. I don't think it's just rogue people putting their names in and pushing this particular type of protest. How about some accountability to whoever's putting this together and orchestrating it? You know, I know that it might be a question of individual rights, about having the rights to do such a thing, but you know what? It doesn't really do the public or society any good by doing this. You know, I understand there are different protest is important. I mean, it's our right to do so peacefully, and you know, if there is a particular element that you wish to protest, I don't believe that the electorate, the process of election is the place to actually do that. I mean, I remember, Gary, you know, in our earlier days, we had various political parties that were protesting, especially on the federal level. The infamous Rhinoceros Party was one. But they were actually following all the rules and regulations of participating in the election without any sort of public disruption in the form that we're actually seeing right now. I mean, the Rhinoceros Party was a protest party from day one. They had the protest elements in their platform, which was communicated to everyone. Although they didn't get very many votes, they followed due process in terms of how to properly participate in the general election. The form of protest right now with overwhelming the number of electoral candidates on a particular ballot ticket is it's ridiculous. You know what? I mean, if somebody is putting this together and orchestrating it and putting together to mobilize the different individuals by putting their names on there, whether they're real people or not, I don't know. It behooves us, it behooves the government to equally take a stand in trying to squash this form of protest. Elections are not the place for it. I 1,000% I agree with you. I mean, what are they accomplishing? Notoriety, not a whole hell of a lot, and they're doing it this time in Taraban. I don't think the other two by-elections are necessarily being affected by this. I think their target point is the election in the by-election in Taraban. Well, why Taraban? I haven't seen anything that basically outlines their protest platform for Taraban. So I don't know what to say, Gary. They should find a way to eliminate this once and for all.
You mentioned the Rhinoceros Party, but two of the leaders of this group are holdovers, and some of the other people are holdovers from the Rhinoceros Party. But there are ways to protest. To me, if I had been faced with a 7-foot ballot, 6 to 7 foot long ballot, I would have known who I was looking for on the ballot. But there are some people who would go in and look at that and just be overwhelmed by it, and not, may end up voting for someone they didn't intend to vote for, or maybe they spoil their ballot, or maybe they just turn around and walk out and hand the ballot back just because of the sheer size of it.
And my late mom and dad would be completely overwhelmed by this. They'd go in and say, "What is this?" and walk out.
Yeah,
I can guarantee that.
And this protest, this kind of a protest, is robbing other individuals of their right to vote. What happens after the election is a whole other story, and open to protest and as well. But you're actually stealing votes from people who do go in and they're overwhelmed by something like this, and get confused by it, and may not cast put their mark next to the right name, or they may just give up and walk out, as you say. That, to me, is stealing their vote, their right. You've infringed upon their right to be able to go in, have a reasonable sized ballot with names on it of people who are legitimately offering, and not playing some silly game of protest, or they think it's a protest. And that's wrong. It's just wrong. And the sooner we get a handle on that, the better for democracy in this country. Now, a couple of things that the committee heard testimony that the group's tactics, such as fielding 40-plus candidates in a single riding, created significant accessibility issues. Ballot size, large multi-page ballots made it difficult for voters with visual impairments or cognitive disabilities to navigate. And processing delays, the sheer volume of candidates delayed the accounting of results and increased the administrative burden on Elections Canada staff. And it would be pretty tough, even if they were doing it electronically, it would still slow things down trying to feed a ballot that length through a scanner.
Well, if you think about it, you go behind your privacy shield, right? When you're voting, you look at your ballot, and at the end of putting your X, you'll maybe fold it up into four. You'll fold it 4 times, nice and slender, and there you got the hole, and it gets slid into the election box, right? What are you supposed to do with this? Fold this up, and it's going to look like the Encyclopedia Britannica. Where are you going to stuff this? I mean, there are so many things that get in the way for a ballot to be properly, first of all, for somebody to vote properly. They make it very difficult for, probably a lot of people, especially when you're getting up to the elderly. That's point number 1. And then point number 2, this is supposed to go into a ballot box. And if you collect all the ballots that are 200 plus tickers long, you're going to need 10 ballot boxes at least. And then to carry these things out, they're going to weigh, it's like carrying bricks out. It's just preposterous, Gary. I'm really pissed that this is happening in today's day and age, that our elected officials continue to allow it. So I'm not sure whether or not they'll be able to stymie this entire exercise before the next by-election. I certainly hope they can. And if they can't, we just can't continue having this. And there's got to be some laws against it, whether you're looking at municipal, provincial, or federal election. There has to be punishable consequences. If that means money and jail time, I really don't care, because it is the election. You're electing officials to leave your municipality, your province, or the country you live in, and you want to make sure we want to make sure we have the right people in place through proper voting. This is a democracy. You know what? No democracy is perfect, but let's not make a mockery out of the system that's got us to where we are right now. And I agree with them, with individuals wanting to formally protest. The electoral platform is not the place to do it. I'm sorry. No sympathy for me.
No, and same from me. Like I share those views 100%, Eddie. Just the very fact that they would take the time to do this. What's wrong? What's wrong with them? Like, go find another sandbox to play in, kiddies, because this one's full.
Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, nothing's in place. There were some changes to the Elections Act previously, but anything that we discussed here tonight as far as the recommendations from the committee, the report with the recommendations just came out this week, and so it's not going to be in place in time for the by-elections next month. No. And of course, you know why they're hitting our riding. It's because it was a one-vote win. It was a very, 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 very tight race. So now they're out to prove a point, because I think that there's going to be a solid turnout here in Billabong. And I think, as I've said in the past, it's going to be the nail biter, the one to watch on election night.